What the hell are you drinking, bud?
I got Cayman Jack, got some cheap beer that was on sale at the beer store, and this is a Cuban mojito in honor of Kansas this week.
Cuban mojito in honor of Kansas. I like it. It it almost makes sense. You know what? Kansas is, um, in my opinion, the most underwhelming track I could possibly think of, and I'm not that I'm having a hard time getting ready for this race, but that is the only track that I don't think I ever considered ever wanting to go to.
No, it is definitely just a boring track in the middle of nowhere. But let me tell you what, that's a fun track to race, especially on
That's what
NASCAR
I
Heat.
hear.
Yeah, it's a good
Really?
track. Yeah, love it.
So, I literally put into AI. I said, "Why would anyone want to race at Kansas Motor Speedway?" And it said something very similar. Like it might not be that exciting to watch, but the drivers like to drive it because it is like the number one track for the like the next gen series or the next gen cars. They think that that is like the best track that those things run because there's so many different lines you can take to have a fast car at Kansas, and you can go through so many different lines, and there's if you hit the right line, you barely use your brakes the entire time, and it's only a 1.5 mile track, and doesn't qualify near like a super speedway, so you have a shorter track where they can basically run wide open. It's pretty impressive, and I mean, for that sake, it's gonna be cool. But I think it's more cool to drive it rather than watch it.
Yeah, let me tell you what, I just looked up the top things to do near Kansas Motor Speedway, and
Please tell me they just said drink in a field.
the fourth best thing to do is Cabela's. The fifth best is Dave and Buster's.
Oh my
And
god.
if you scroll to the 11th best, it is a movie theater.
Well, that is just no good,
So
Tex.
that just means
Dick.
you literally have to go into the fields and just drink because there's nothing to do.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because we go into these beautiful towns like Daytona. There's 1,000 things to do outside of the track, and we don't leave one time. We just sit there and we drink the whole time. Same thing with Talladega. Well, Talladega has nothing around it, but um, and then Charlotte. Charlotte has a beautiful city with so much to do. All those race teams nearby. You could go tour everything. Guess what we do? We sit there and we drink in the
Yeah,
field. So
I guess that's freeing too. Like, because if you go to somewhere like Atlanta, outside a big city, like you kind of want to go to this city and explore. But really, the best part about NASCAR in general is just sit in a field and drink. So at least it's like you're not worried about doing anything because there's nothing else to do, and you just explore the stadium, what they have to offer, and just have fun with your pals.
mm-hmm.
What
And
are
you know
you
what?
drinking, Tex?
Well, oh boy, I have a Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA, and the only reason I have that is because I knew that it was going to take a little bit of convincing me to do this podcast today. So this particular beer is 9.5%. I'm going to get that one down and then switch to some light beers. I got a few on deck here, a few different kinds, and I think I'll maybe go with the Miller Lite next. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss,
I love
or
that.
I could go with a Yingling Flight, which is a not a classic, but good.
But definitely one of the up and coming best light beers ever.
Yeah, Tex, Dick. Why do I keep calling you me? Whatever. That's the 9.5% that I put in me real quick. But you know what makes me even more excited to watch this race?
What?
It's streamed on Fox. So
Oh
we
God.
we right now we have a pretty much a double whammy of maybe not so exciting of a track, and we got to watch it on Fox. So those bitches are going to be zooming in when the car gets close and showing the wrong order, and putting the Bubba Wallace face on top of like Chase Elliott's car, saying, "Look, this is Chase's like third best lap of the day," and
Bro,
it's really just Tyler Reddick or something.
see, I was taking your theory about them zooming in. I just don't think the cameras could zoom out fast enough because the cars are coming
Yeah, but why
toward the
would you
camera.
zoom in?
No, that's fair. But what really pissed me off last week, five laps five laps remaining, Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin were going at it, like really good racing at the end. 5 laps remaining, they start showing a replay of like last year's race with them battling it out. I'm like, bro, there's 5 laps left. Get rid of the stupid replay. I want to watch the last 5 laps. It's the most like
Right.
important part of the race and most exciting to watch. And you're now showing a replay and you're putting the live feed in like the smallest box in the corner. I'm like, I don't
So
care about last year.
right. That's the exact same thing that I fight with so many people. You know how like people go to a concert and they're sitting there with their phone, they're like recording it or taking pictures and stuff, and you're like, just live in the moment. That's what the hell Fox is doing. They're just the millennials sitting there recording a show, and they're like, let's look at what happened last year. Meanwhile, you could be watching history be made. You don't know what's going to happen here, and like you said, 5 laps to go at a 1 mile track, the Monster Mile, and you're not going to show it. I mean, at that point, you only have 2.5, 3 minutes left in the race, and you're going to show a replay.
Bro, that pissed me off so bad. At least like the last 5 laps, anything could happen. There could be crashes, high speed turns, and everything. At least like if you're not going to show the main two guys, like show somewhere back in the pack, like when people are passing or something. But like, don't show a race from last year that nobody cares about anymore.
Right.
Denny and Kyle Larson, freaking best 2 racers this year, going at it. They have definitely a rivalry this year, and you're not going to show that live. Like, come on now.
What a mess. Hey, before we get too far into Dover, I have a quick ad read. Chloa Entertainment presents the Real House Guys podcast, premiering next Wednesday. You can join Tex and Dick in their personal lives, talking about just about anything. We're just normal guys going through the same shit that you're talking about and you're going through, but we're not afraid to say it. So join us next week for the Real House Guys podcast. Back to Dover.
Yeah, that was a good pod shout out. Yeah, we definitely work with a bunch of different podcasters trying up and coming, starting our own Chloa entertainment company. So be on the lookout for future podcasts as well. So back to Dover and Kansas this week. And I think we were talking about, let's just, what are you laughing about?
I'm just laughing because our first ad of this season was literally an ad for us that we're paying ourselves for. So, someone pay us for something. Please reach out to us at thedrunkpod@gmail.com and give us something to do. We'll take anything. We'll do anything. But Chloe Entertainment coming at you with your favorite podcast right here for NASCAR lifestyle, and we're branching out to a few other podcasts. So, all right, Dover, we have, obviously, you just mentioned it, the very increasing rivalry of Denny Hamlin versus Kyle Larson. I think at this point right now, the only thing you need to look at, uh, you know, if someone was on the moon for the first 11 races of the year and they came down today and said, hey, give me a 10-word update on the NASCAR season so far, I would say Toyota versus Hendrick, and I would say shove the other 7 up your ass because there's nothing else going on.
That is exactly 10. Toyota versus shove the other ones up your ass. Yeah, that's 10.
Right, because I mean that's really what it is. You got Toyotas. They've been pretty successful this year, specifically JGR, but there's a little bit of a variation there. And then Hendrick is just dominating. You have Kyle Larson obviously right up there, and Chase Elliott is making a push into the top 5. So I think if this is the first episode you guys are watching, that's fine. Just start here, and that's your preview, or no, post view recap. There you go.
Recap.
The recap of the year so far. And now let's dig a little bit more into Dover. But as kind of like what I expect for Kansas. I don't think Dover had a lot going on. Um, I, I mean, I think it is a fun track, but I don't think it really showed out that well. I will be quite honest with you. I didn't watch the entire race, but
And
so
you
you
call
can correct
yourself
me
a
if I'm wrong.
race fan.
Hey, I had to travel this week for the other job that pays the bills for this podcast. So just just a lot of stuff going on. But I do know that Denny has got his hat trick, and I don't think he's stopping there. I think he's got a long
No.
way to go this year, and that like he could double that. He could pull off another
Yeah.
6-win season, just like Kyle Larson did 2 years ago. I don't think that's out of the question.
Yeah, no, I think he's in kind of a funny area right now because he can go for like the most wins of all time in a season. He could easily do that, but it's like, well, do you put yourself in risk? Do you really want to overstress your car, your performance, to try to achieve that? Or do you kind of lay back? You're already in the playoffs. You're easily going to make it. Like, just test some new things, maybe some new packages or whatever that you could maybe take into the playoffs. So you're riding a fine line if you're him. But like, I know Denny, he doesn't have a lot of years left with him. So why not just go out, try to win as much as you can? He has a lot of momentum. Like, he is probably the best car. He could win any type of week. So why not just keep going for it?
Hot take. Hot take. Denny Hamlin is a regular season driver and can't do shit in the playoffs.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I mean, Denny has I don't know how many seasons he has under his belt. More than anyone in the field, I believe. If it's not, I mean, Martin Truex may have more. I don't know. It's probably close, but Denny Hamlin has never won a Cup Series championship. I think he's won just about everywhere else, and he's never won that. And he is the type of guy that I think if he doesn't carry momentum into the playoffs, playoffs are long, so he needs to get a win in the playoffs to carry that momentum, just like he did in the beginning of the season. Because the playoff season is 10 races, right? Is it 10 or is it even more?
Is it is it 8?
Whatever it is, it's still a long season. I mean, think of where we are right now. We're recording at the beginning of May. We're in May. We started this podcast for this season on February 20th. So we've already gone 2.5 months into the season, and that's what the playoffs are looking like. I mean, we're a little further, so
Well,
it's like a month and a half. It's a long playoff. You have to carry that momentum through it, and burning out in the beginning of the season may not be what works. You look at Kyle Larson; that did him really well. It doesn't seem like he burns out. I mean, he is able to focus his attention to every week. I think other drivers are looking long term, and that burns them out. If you are week to week, then I think that you have the advantage going into the playoffs. I mean, you set yourself up well by performing well week to week, but then when you get into the playoffs, you can't look too far ahead. You got to go week to week and not just say, you know what, if I win one, that's great, but if not, you know, I, I just think that he doesn't have what it takes mentally to get through a full season with records. Like you said, he could go for most wins. He, I would predict that he doubles his wins right now. He is 3 now for the season. I think he ends the regular season with 6, and I don't think he wins a single race after the playoffs start.
yeah, I mean, look at Truex last year, and that's kind of what happened. I mean, he was a regular season champ last year, really dominant during the regular season, and then did absolutely nothing in the playoffs. And I mean, he's a fellow Toyotaer, so it could happen to Denny. But I don't know. I think he could win any week, and I don't see that changing. Who's going to stop him? I mean, you got the Hendricks, but there's like
Freaking
three.
any one of the Hendricks. Any
There's
one of
th-
the Hendricks could
yeah,
win any race.
yeah. But so you got 4 guys that he's fighting against, but literally nobody else in the field has a chance. So what? He's going to finish top 5 every week?
That's true, but will top 5 top 5 doesn't even break the podium at
Hey, if you
in
finish top 5 every week, you're going to be in the
they're
final
gonna
4 in the playoffs. So that's all that
right.
matters.
Yeah,
And then
but
all you need
no,
is one. That's
that's
all you
not
need is
what
one.
matters. It's yeah, but when it comes to the last race, he could finish 15th. Or even like you said, if he finishes top 4, it's fine, but it doesn't matter if you're second, it doesn't matter if you're third in that last race of the year. He has to set himself up and gain the momentum in the playoffs, or he's not going to do it. I don't agree with you.
Exactly. So, I mean, you're racing for the win every week. It doesn't. So it. This is what happens in football. You have the best teams. They get their when they make the playoffs. They have their first week bye, and then they come back after that bye, play their first playoff game, and get absolutely destroyed, even though they're favored by 14 points. And it's because they're not playing every week. They're not playing to win every week. So you have those people on the chopping block every week putting in their all every single week. So they're ready to play. When you take a week off, you're mentally drained. Like you're not ready. You need to put it in your all. And I think if I was a coach, I would try to win every single game. So if I'm Team Denny, I'm like, hey, let's just keep it rolling. Why not?
I think
If we get
where the
unlucky, that's fine, but let's keep it rolling.
I think where the difference comes in is you have equipment and you have a set amount of motors, you have a set amount of chassis, and these cars that are set for the entire season. You can do slight adjustments throughout the season, but you're not going to turn around and make a new car from now until we get to a July 4th race. You have to maintain your equipment. I mean, you can't go balls to the wall. You already talked about it. I mean, you have to preserve that equipment. You have to, um, you know, just fine tune those things. And the more you just race all out every week, you jeopardize the future of your equipment.
See, I think you're right for anybody not named Denny and anybody in not as in a big of a team as Denny and like being in the NASCAR Cup Series. Because if you're say playing, you're racing Xfinity or trucks, yeah, you can't go for the win because if you crash, you're kind of screwed. You don't have as much money to blow, and you don't have the best teams, best engineers on the teams to like know what your package should be every week. But you're coming in the Cup Series, you know exactly what you're going to run every single race. You don't need to test. You don't need to do a whole lot because you know exactly what you're going to do. You have smart enough people behind the scenes that knows what your package should be. They know how many laps you're going to run before you pit, everything like that. They know what, and that's what you saw this week with like air blocking. Air blocking, we have not seen ever. This is like a whole new thing. And I mean, who do you think don't do it? Don't do it. Okay. So we just heard a crack from Tex. If you're drinking with us, listening with us, we suggest you crack one too. But yeah, air blocking is a whole new thing. And who thought of that? Probably the engineers with the new next gen cars. I don't know. I mean, the racers probably acknowledged it too, but the physics, the aerodynamics, definitely you could see the calculations from the team.
I think what Denny Hamlin needs to be focusing on through this stretch that we're starting to get that warm weather, the summer races come in where you can start getting in a rut as a NASCAR fan and a driver. I think you have the excitement at the beginning of the year, then you kind of fall into this rhythm where you either lose a little bit of interest, you lose a little bit of enthusiasm, whatever it is. But what he needs to do during this stretch is, I think he does need to focus on that fine tuning. I don't want to get too far into Kansas yet, but I think Kansas is the number one place you need to be trying out new things every single lap. Not necessarily every single lap, but let's say you could go 3 different strategies for 3 different stages here, and just you could say I'd love to get a win here, but there's so many different lines and so many different ways you can race this track that is going to be completely different. I think you saw that a little bit in Dover. You had the high line get real quick at some points when the rubber was laid down, and then other times you had to come inside. And I think learning those things when you're at the track, how things respond to whatever, that is what you need to do now. In right now, test it yourself. Don't take the what theoretically should happen, do it yourself so that when you come to Kansas, the next time we're in Kansas after this weekend, we'll be in the playoffs. You got to know exactly what you're going to do then, but you know you can't run it one way here. And let's say I haven't looked at the forecast, but let's say it's an 85-degree day and it's just phenomenal. Everything blue skies, sun beaten down. You could run this track one way and it be spectacular. But watch us race in the playoffs. When we get to the fall months, you have some overcast, you have some cool breezes coming in there, and their track may be completely different. And you need to understand how to race all those different lines so you can adjust on a pinpoint. I think the other thing that Denny Hamlin needs to be focusing on is you kind of alluded to this. He's got a big team. Get the rest of his team in the playoffs. Push them up towards the front. Get them there so that when it comes time for you to stack up in the playoff races, and one guy's on the bubble, and Denny may be a favorite. You have these guys that are on your tail, pushing you to the front. They need to be on your side because we all know your teammates are in the race, but are they really in the race when they're not in the playoffs? It's hard to justify that let's say like last year a Chase Elliott was really going to help out Kyle Larson too much. I mean, and that might be a bad example because they are spectacular race car drivers. But um, you know, some of these other guys, you need to have that guy that's up there competing every single day in these races and pushing you to the front. So Denny needs to be focusing on his teammates and his ownership team. So Bubba needs to. Bubba's sitting at the 17th spot, one place out of the playoffs right now, and obviously Tyler Reddick is sitting in the playoffs with his win, and he's actually doing quite well in the points. But he's got to focus on getting Bubba in there, get him up to the front, get him some stage points, get him some, maybe some top fives, and hopefully even a win, so that he's there to compete. And when push comes to shove, last lap at Talladega in October, early October, that some car needs a last push, or you have two or three lines forming. Who's gonna break out and help Denny get pushed to the front? All those guys that have alliances with him, his teammates, and the cars he owns. Get them
Yeah,
up
no,
there so they have a chance.
you definitely make a good point about Denny trying to work with his teammates. Toyota's not as great as doing that with as other teams are, and we saw that a couple races ago when they were trying at Talladega when they were trying to push and get to the front after some pit stops, and they just couldn't get it happening. So I think they do need to try to figure out how to bump draft and work together, because we do have some super speedways in the playoffs, and
Two of them.
we come back to Dega, and you cannot run by yourself at Dega. You need some teammates to help you push. So yeah, that's something Toyota in general needs to kind of work better at.
Yeah.
Um,
While we're talking about Toyota, sorry to cut you off there, but what about Bubba screwing it up again?
yeah, he seemed pissed after this race. I think he's just frustrated. He can't do anything. And but you know what? I think he's going to get a win this year. I told you from the start. He's a, he could race really well, but he could also just like absolutely suck. So I think he's gonna get a win, but like I don't think he's gonna do anything else the rest of the season. But he will get a win. I'm still on that.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think you're really far from the truth. I think he's fighting to get his contract renewed at this point. Like he's on that verge of not like 2311 wants to be that team that is breaking through, and Tyler Reddick is that guy. Bubba Wallace was supposed to be that guy, and he's got chance after chance after chance, and he's not following through. He's got another DNF this week, and he's just it's it's a problem after a problem, and it's always his fault. It seems like the Toyota bump draft situation was him being a freaking moron. I mean, he continues to do shitty things, and he continues to make excuses. If I was Denny and if I was Michael Jordan, I'd have a bigger dick. But I would also think about not re-signing Bubba at the end of his contract in 2025. And if I was Bubba, I would be scared right now. And honestly, if I'm sitting behind the wheel of the 11 car right now, I'm thinking, who else is there that could take his place? And man, I really wish we didn't continue his contract so far. In 2022, they re-signed that contract to go through the end of 25. And I think that they're probably second guessing that now. And here's another take. I think after that 2025 contract, if they don't go to a 3-car team, which they may do anyway, if they stay at 2-car, Bubba's out, Denny races for himself to end his career.
That's a hot take for you.
Boom. Got anything else to say about that one? Because I got one more hot take.
No, I think, honestly, I'm going to double down on my scenario here. I think Bubba Wallace gets a win this week at Kansas. 23-11 this week at Kansas. The hottest of all. Gosh. I'm calling my shot right now. Bubba Wallace, the 23-11.
And he did it.
23-11 gets a win.
No.
And it's going to be the other driver, Bubba Wallace.
Nope. If 23-11 gets the win, it's going to be Tyler Reddick. Not even close.
Tyler Reddick.
He's actually my number one pick this week. We're not getting into those picks yet because we got to get through Dover. But I want to talk about this season and how it's not close. Tyler Reddick is the star, and he's just waiting to break through towards the Hendrick boys and the Denny Hamlin. Like, he's going to be that star. This could be his year to break out. But before we break out into Kansas, are the Fords even worthy of being in the Cup Series right now?
No. However, if Bubba Wallace does not win, I'll tell you who does win.
It's a Ford, I'm going to murder you.
It is a Ford. And it's probably going to be Ryan Blaney because he's the most, he's the best Ford there is this year. They all suck. But this track does kind of favor the Fords a wee bit. So I'm going to have to go Bubba Wallace.
Did you just say Kansas favors the Fords?
A little bit.
Okay.
I'm just saying, other than the super speedways, this is the best chance Ford has.
Can you give me one reason?
No.
Okay, exactly, because I'll give you 10 reasons why Ford will not win this week. Okay. Ever since the next-gen car came out, guess who's won every race? Toyotas. I told you that the next-gen car is suited specifically for this track. And the Toyotas have the best package to run at this track. They've won every single race, be it playoff or the spring race. Every single one since the next gen. I don't know how you can argue with that. Go ahead and try.
I will not.
Okay, thank you.
I agree with you. But I'm more hopeful than factual here. I'm playing with my heart now. I really want a Ford to win. I'm ready for a Ford to win, and I think this is the best track for a little bit that they have the best chance to actually get it.
So if I'm at the standpoint right now that Fords need to be cut from the series. We've heard that other manufacturers were thinking about trying to get into the Cup Series. After a disappointing year like this, and if they continue this way, Ford isn't worthy of being there. This is supposed to be the top cars in the world, performance muscle cars, and Ford cannot do it. You won't see me at the dealership getting a Mustang after this. You got to be kidding me. I'd rather get a base model Camry other than a loaded.
That's crazy that a Camry is absolutely mollywopping a Mustang right now.
Right. I mean, I know it's all a show, but still, that's ridiculous. Fords are done. If you look at the does not finish top 10, let's cut it to the top 8. 4 of the top 8 in most amount of does not finishes have been Fords. McDowell hasn't finished 4 races so far this year. Then you have Logano, who's supposed to be one of the top drivers in the Cup Series. He's coming off of a Cup Series championship, 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago. Eh, He hasn't finished. He's the third. Yeah, he sits third in does not finishes. Brad Keselowski has been horrible. He spins out again this week in Dover. And then Josh Berry. Yeah, you can say that the rookie, like, he's gonna have issues, but it's just unexcusable to have 4 out of the top 8 does not finish cars sit in the Fords, and 2 of them are phenomenal drivers. McDowell is a pretty good driver, but Logano and Keselowski are supposed to be phenomenal drivers. That's my good night Ford talk. If anyone wants to come into this series, I don't care who it is. If Honda wants to come in and put together a muscle car that can compete with these Toyotas and these Camaros, come and do it, because it's not going to take much to beat these Fords,
Yeah, no, it does
with the
seem.
exception of Blaney. And he's still not.
Yeah,
He still sits at 10. No, sorry, he still sits at 7 in the top 10. I mean, that's the only Ford that
Yeah.
breaks the top 10 this year.
I am, however, on Noah Gragson this week, and he's a Ford.
Okay, I think that Noah Gragson has a better chance than Blaney this week, and I think it's just he's raced here well when he was in the series below, um, both the Xfinity and the shoot. Was it in the trucks or was it in the Menard series? Whatever it was, he has performed pretty well here. He has a pretty good finish at Las Vegas, which is a relatively similar track. If I were to go on the Fords, I do like Noah Gragson. Dick, are we going to jump straight into Kansas since we've already mostly mentioned it? I actually lost Dick for a little bit there, so we are going to go straight into Kansas. I think I may have got him back here, but we're going Kansas Motor Speedway. We already said it. We're going on Sunday at 3 p.m., 400 miles. That's 267 laps. I said 400 miles. It's actually 400.5. Those idiots can't even do math. How could you not? Anyway, intermediate oval track.
Yeah, what I actually wondered about that, like, how do they actually measure the track? Do they do it from the middle lane?
That's actually
like
a good question.
the shortest direction? I did mean to look that up. We should get Jeff on
Yeah.
that because he's an idiot.
Dude,
He should have had that.
Jeff is getting
I
a
made that.
demotion after the past few weeks.
He actually sucks. He should pay us to
Honestly,
work
if
here.
anyone wants to be our intern and just look shit up for us, we'll give you all kind of references and stuff. But yeah, I already said it. I don't think there's anything special about Kansas except for you can race this any which way. I think that if an amateur came onto this track and just said, I want to go around this track as fast as I can, they're going to find a way to be quick. Give them 10 laps to warm up and then jump in the race. I think you can be fast anywhere on this track. You just got to know the different lines. So,
So Jeff found it. It's they measure tracks 15 feet in from the outer wall.
So, okay.
So actually, yeah. So actually, most drivers travel less than the advertised.
Well, that's pretty lame. Like,
which is pretty cool.
You have
actually. Yeah, I would think they would do it from the inside, like the shortest distance that you could possibly go. I think like the Daytona 500, you're at least going 500. You'll probably go
right. I think it should be that 15 feet from the inner yellow line. But whatever.
Yeah, we should start a petition and get this changed.
All right. We already talked about how important it's going to be to understand these different lines. I think even though practice laps are short, like, you only get so many laps in practice and in qualifying, you only, I lost my train of thought. I can't get over that sound. Anyway. Yeah, so I think the practice laps are going to be really important for the exact same reasons I've been saying. So many different ways to race this. And I think for a lot of the top drivers, this should really be a practice race. to understand all those different lines. I think we get a first-time winner of the year. Um, and I don't want to get into the person yet because I have strong thoughts about this. Um, but I think we get a first-time winner of the year.
Can I
Fine,
get
you know what? Let's
into?
just do it.
I
Let's just
agree
do
with
it.
you there. I'm getting into it. Okay. If it's not Bubba Wallace, because that was just a heart pick, just in spite of you because you were against him, I will. My actual betting Dick's
Dick's pick.
pick is Noah
His
Gragson.
first
You want my
first
DP?
win of the
Noah
year
Gragson,
and in a cup car.
freaking the best Ford, I think, in the past couple races. 4 top 10s in the year. He goes 12th last week, 20, 18th, 3rd, and 6th. Just kidding. That was the other way around. So he went 6th, 3rd, 18, 20, 12. Going back from last race beyond. And that's since Richmond. And, he's just getting better and better as the year goes on. He will get this win this year. And that's a Ford for you. And if you want to go along with me, you could get Ford to win the race at plus 600. So the books are really against Ford. They have Toyota at the top favored. But yes, Gragson will get into the playoff. I think he makes it to the second round of the playoff. That's how good he is. He's actually pretty consistent as of late. He's going to be, I think he's going to be the second best Ford of the year, maybe third behind Blaney and Buescher. I think they both get in the playoff as well. Buscher's just waiting. He was so good last year. He needs to turn it around, and I think he'll get a win or two this year
Win
as
or
well.
two for
But
Buescher.
win or
Well, it
two,
sure
yes.
won't
But
happen this week.
Gragson will get a win.
I'm gonna fade him like the plague.
No, because Gragson.
This week.
And another hot take, Logano will miss playoffs because he sucks this year. He is terrible. He cannot get anything going. From the, I think, third week of the year, he started off real hot, and now he just kind of cooled down. I don't think he makes playoffs. I think the only Fords that have a chance, Blaney, Buescher, and Gragson. And there you go.
Okay, all right. I mean, okay. Yeah, I don't think there's much to talk about there. I think. I think Buescher this race, keep him away from your fantasy teams. Even even like he has a better shot of winning so many other races, and I think at 55-1 this week, just fade him. But I don't think that he is gonna win a race or two, but I think that he may make a push for playoffs by points.
Hey, look at last year. Buescher won 4, I think. And
That
they all came at the end of the season.
that
Wait,
is
he's a
true.
second
He
half
is
player.
sitting in the playoffs right now by 1. He's sitting right above Bubba Wallace, but I think he could be on that bubble all year long. But it all is going to depend on how many first-time winners are we going to get. And I'm going to go with a first-time winner here. And this guy has been knocking on the door all year. He's been super impressive, Ty Gibbs. I mean, he is in a Toyota, which is by far the favorite to win this race. I don't know why you ever said anything about those stupid Fords to win this race. I'm so low on the Fords right now that I mean, I'm not going to put a single one of them in my lineup. But Ty Gibbs, really fast Toyota this year, and a really fast up and coming driver. Like I said, just knocking on the door and hasn't got, through to cross that line at the end first. But this is his time to do it. I'll put Ty Gibbs up there, and I'll bet the house.
I was so on Ty Gibbs just up to 2 weeks ago. I am so far off him right now. I think he had so much potential. Everyone thought he was going to get a win. I really do not think he's going to do much of anything the rest of the year.
I don't know how you can say that because 10 out of the last 11 races he finished in the top half of drivers, and 3 of those have been in the top 5, 6 of them in the top 10. How could you take a young driver and say that after 11 races at the beginning of the year, first full time, or is it his second full time? Is his first? Second
Second
full
year.
time
He's a sophomore.
season to go 6-11 in the top 10. You would say that that's a really, really good year,
Yeah.
and he's sitting above Kyle Busch. Yeah,
Oh,
and he's going to
great year.
continue that. Like, he's not slowing down. If you look at some of
No.
these old guys like Denny Hamlin we had at the top of the show, he could get burnt out. He's getting older. Same with Martin Truex Jr. sitting second in the points. He could tailor off because it's a long season. It's hard to stay there. But Ty
No, I
Gibbs
feel you.
he's
Exactly.
young. He's ready to race. Every single week he's still excited about it. I think that he will get up there.
Yeah, we have the same reasonings, but going opposite directions on that. I think he is young. It's only his second year. He started off super hot. He's ready to get his first win. He's really on the verge to do it. And I think that's going to get to him a little bit. You see this a lot with golfers. They're like coming second, third place every week, and then they just can't break the ice and get their first win, and then it haunts them. You see that with majors in the golf world. So it's like, yeah, you could win, 10 regular, golf tournaments, but you can't win your major, and it gets to you. So I think that's kind of where Ty Gibbs is this year. I think he's still going to have a phenomenal year for his second year. But yeah, I just don't think he gets a win this year, and I don't think he makes playoffs. I think he kind of cools down a little bit, and you kind of see that the last couple weeks. He's not performing as high. He doesn't look like he's not competing for the win as he was early in the season. So yeah, I think he's going to cool down a little bit. It's going to frustrate him, and he's young, so that frustration is just going to get to him. I think next year might be the year for the first win to come by, but as this year keeps going and going, and he still can't get his first win, it's just going to be frustrating. And honestly, it might be a Bubba Wallace type thing. I haven't seen any anger management issues out of Ty Gibbs yet, but I don't know, that could be a thing.
Yeah. You know where I stand on Ty Gibbs, especially for this race. I think that he gets a win or two or three this season. I don't know why I said three. I don't think it's gonna be three. I think it's gonna be one or two. But I'm high on him. You know who another guy I'm fading this week, and I honestly feel like I am fading him the remainder of the season. How horrible is Kyle Busch?
I think he should retire. I think he should just quit halfway during the season. I think he should just quit tomorrow. There's no reason he should still be racing
So
anymore.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think he has a low season, and I think that he's not one that's going to make a change on the fly this season. Like within the season, I think it's going to take a really tough, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year, where he has to sit there and mull it over about how shit he was all year, to get his ass in gear. And something's going to change over that time. He's not someone that's going to sit there and settle. You know how he's just a warrior of a guy that's going to do anything it takes to win. The thing is, I don't think this season he's going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's the type of guy that like barely sneaks into the playoffs and then absolutely destroys the playoffs and wins the freaking Cup Series. So that's what I'm a little nervous of
All
because
it takes is one win.
I don't want all it takes is one to get in. All you need to do is get in. But he's the type of guy that can do that, and I admire him for that. I'm not a huge Kyle Busch fan, but if he can't get it done this year, if he can't get it into the playoffs, I don't know, I'm a little nervous for his career.
Yeah. I think he's like I said, he's one of those guys that he will not go out on the bottom. I think he's one of those guys. If he had a standout year this year, he would retire from Cup Series. He's not done from racing. I already know that. He already said that he wanted to go back and
Oh
race
no,
trucks. Like he kind of wants to race trucks full time. Um, I think it might be his demonic brain of I want to beat these little guys and like, it's way easier to me.
yeah,
Like all I care about is getting into the winner circle. But he also made the mention that he wants to race against his son or with his son in the the truck series, and keep that car going like on his team, like the one that he owns, and then as soon as he's like his son is really ready to take it over, just jump out of the car and give it, it stays as a Busch car. So he's
Yeah.
not done from racing, but
No, I can
I
see
think you're
that.
right. Like he
He hates the next gen cars, and he just recently came over from Toyota to Chevy. So,
but he had a good
I mean,
year
I don't
last
know if
year
he's
as a Chevy.
fully like. Yeah, I don't know if he's fully confident in these cars yet. I mean, he just made a post on Twitter or something a couple weeks ago saying he hates the next gen cars, and we might be taking that out of, proportion. But I feel like he's kind of like the LeBron James of the NASCAR world. LeBron's just trying to play with his son, so maybe Kyle Busch is trying to keep it in him to play, race with his son. Oh, the Cheddar's hat. I love
Not
Cheddar's.
so
Sponsor of Kyle
fast.
Busch. I love it.
Pull out the what's his name? From College Game Day, Lee Lee, Lee
Get
Corso.
Lee
Not
Corso.
so fast. I talked all the shit about him, but I put on my. You guys can't see me. We didn't do a video today. Put on my Kyle Busch Cheddar's hat, the RCR team hat. He is actually going to have a decent race this week, and whether or not I talked all that shit. But he's gonna have a good race this week. Kansas is not a bad track for him. He's he's got 15 top tens in his career at Dover. Be it it's 32 starts in Dover. But that's over half. No, that's just under half. That's just under half of the times he started here. He has finished top 10. I'm not saying he's going to win, but he's going to be there. And I think that you're right. He's just switched over from the Toyota, and it does take a while. He had a good year in it last year. Maybe a little bit of beginner's luck and starting to feel it out and making those adjustments, and the adjustments just aren't the same as what he thought. But I think it's enough time in the year that that he's gonna come back. You almost ready to pick?
Yeah,
Why don't you do
I'm
Dick's picks?
ready to pick. Wait, can I do? I'm gonna do Dick's picks real quick.
You
I'll do
don't have
them
to rush,
real quick.
bud. This is
We got
this is all about
no,
NASCAR. And
no. I'm gonna rush
wait,
a little.
before we do that, I forgot to mention that giant rubber duck at Dover. Did you see that thing?
I have not seen it yet. I've heard a lot about it, and we all are questioning
Yeah, I have
why
no
rubber
idea.
duck.
I have no idea what that was about, but it was cool. I wish it was
Okay,
in Charlotte in 2 races because
it's probably not a rubber duck. It's probably
yeah,
just
I mean,
inflatable with some type of polyethylene.
I don't know. Probably yeah. I don't know. Okay, go ahead with Dick's picks. Let's make some money for you guys.
Yeah, Dick's picks. Just do it. I've been on a roll. Actually, cooled off a little bit the last couple weeks, but that is
Yes,
not
it
my
is.
fault. It's 100%. It's 100% my fault, but I don't want to take the blame for it. We'll get back on track this week. I'm still on the Fords. Group D winner Buescher. Buescher is plus 275 over Brad Keselowski. Does nothing this year. Suarez did nothing since Atlanta. Logano, he sucks balls. So Buescher, I mean, he's the best Ford out of those guys. Like, I don't see anything that they're doing. So just kind of process of elimination. Buescher plus 275. I would take that any day. Now, this is one that you're not going to see coming, I don't think. But I've had my eye on him ever since last year. Joshua freaking Berry, top 10, plus 430. I don't know why they're giving him that high odds. He's been 14th at Dover, 16th at Dega, 11th at Richmond, 12th at Bristol. He has yet to crack the top 10 this year. And I think this is his race to do it. He's been, racing better and better. He's had the days he's qualified shitty, like in the 30s, he has came back and raced in the top 15, top 20. Passed a lot of cars. The races he started top 10, he has stayed up there in the top 15. So I think if he could qualify well, he could, stay up there and race with the rest of the boys. So Joshua Berry, top 10, first top 10 of the year. That I want to say is going to be the pick of the month. I know it's early.
Pick
It's
of the
May
month.
2nd. Pick of the month at May 2nd.
Do you
We
understand
still have
that
the
we
rest of
have
the month, but I'm pick of
we have
the
Charlotte where
freaking
we're
month.
gonna be there. We're gonna do a live show, and we're gonna do that. You're gonna say this is the pick of the month when we don't have all of our buddies sitting there drunk as hell, ready to throw cash at whoever we say, and you say this is the pick of the month. How could you not?
This is the pick of the month. This is how confident I am. And it's not because I'm confident. I think this is the best ever odds you'll get for a Joshua Berry top 10 for the rest of the year. So I think just money-wise, efficiency-wise, value-wise, you just have to take Joshua Berry. Top 10. Because I've seen this with Gragson. I was following Gragson this whole year, and books are afraid. He won top Ford last week at Dover. Books are afraid to give him any value right now. You have, I think, one book, Bet 365 or something like that is actually giving him probably what his odds should be. But the rest of the books are, half of the odds of that. So they're just all afraid to lose that much money again because
What do you have him
Gragson
at?
is the Fords. The Fords have nothing. The Fords, you have freaking Blaney, but nobody else is the second best Ford. So really, Josh Berry, he could be the second best Ford. Second best Ford can break the top 10.
What do you
Why
have?
not?
Gragson.
He's at plus 430.
Oh,
top 10.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. And if you're getting a little frisky and you're going to follow me with the Fords, plus 600 for Ford to win this race.
Ooh.
Not sure if I'm doing that yet. It's not on my card, but I'm really looking at it because I'm betting everybody else for it. So might as well just, win big the whole week or just lose it.
I like it.
Don't know yet. Follow our Instagram page, and I may post
what's
what
the name
my final
of it?
card
Drink
looks like.
and Drive Pod? Something like
Drink and Drive.
Drink and Drive Pod. Thank you. Yeah, we had some pretty good posts with Tyler Reddick in the past few weeks, and
yeah, Tyler Reddick's a guy. He's probably my favorite guy. He's given us a lot of good time together. Shown us his car.
Got to meet his monster ladies.
Spent some time with the
dude. Those monster ladies,
yes.
like you guys know the monster ladies. They just walk around with Tyler Reddick. He's this little short guy with all these tall women in heels and leather bras and leather pants and and they're just like arms around each other and around him and he gave us the opportunity to come meet them and sign a few autographs for us and take some pictures with the ladies. So that was pretty cool of him. Check out our socials, specifically Instagram and YouTube. Keep in touch with us. And like I've been alluding to a lot here, Charlotte is going to be our big break, bud. Big media frenzy. We got a bunch of people coming. We're tailgating all week, and get a lot of content. Probably meet a few of the drivers, see some races, and drink some motherfucking beers. So, just wanted to say that before we go into our shootout picks. I had the first pick last week. Dick, you will pick first this week, which is I thought was a big advantage when I was planning out my picks before this episode started. I was like kind of worried if you got the first pick, but the way you've been talking all day is I don't agree with you. So
yeah, I think we're going to be very far off on our picks.
So you got first pick, I got next two, but unfortunately we can only take one that's seated in the top. That would be 17 today. So the odds I'm looking at are Larson through Danny Suarez.
For sure. I think Tyler Reddick in the 2311 team. I think somebody in that 2311 team could easily win. So I think Tyler Reddick has got it, though. He's already won this year. He has proven that he's a winner. I don't know. It was kind of actually by default that he won, but I think he is itching to prove that he could win this year, and I think this track is suitable for him. So
Yeah,
Tyler Reddick.
okay. Turns out we would have picked the same guy. Tyler Reddick's won here before, and I don't think it was the last time he wins. I think he has the momentum from getting a win 2 weeks ago, and now that he has been one of our good friends, I think we're gonna pick him more often. But I would have picked him, but I'm going to stick with the Toyota gang. I'm going to take his Overlord and have Hamlin go back to back for his 4th win of the year. I think he will. He's really good here. He has 4 wins in Kansas, and I don't think he's done. And he's not old. He's not old yet. We always say that, we joke about him being the old guy on the track, but he's just as fast as he ever was, if not faster, and he's got more experience and he uses it well. So I think Denny Hamlin will be up there if he doesn't win. So I get
I like
second.
it. Yeah,
Um,
and he could easily definitely win.
yeah,
I think
yep.
he's the
I
favorite.
got the
So
second pick here, and if you look at the odds, I could screw you over here because I know you are high on Gregson, who just cracks that bottom half here, and I know that if I don't pick him, you're gonna go with him. I hate the Fords right now. Absolutely hate him, and we didn't talk about him even a little bit, and I don't know if I have like a true good reason for it. But I think if you guys are playing NASCAR fantasy, um, hopefully you're playing it with us and it's not too late to join us. But if you're not, sorry, if you are, I think this would be a good week to break out Austin Dillon as a sleeper pick. Um, like I said, I don't have like a lot of good reasons about it, but I just, for some reason, I
just
am.
having a
It's like one
feeling.
of those
I
things
just
that
have a
like
feeling.
you say it, you think it, and like your like your little pecker like twitches. You're like, huh, that's interesting.
Okay.
And yes, it'll happen. I know he only has 3 wins in his entire Cup Series um, career, and
Hey, you don't need to go for a win. You just need a good
that's
finish with the
right.
back half driver.
He's raced 5 different cars in the Cup Series, for a total of 300 and that would be 94 races with 4 wins. It's not a good average, but um, as long as he finishes top half, I'm happy. So Austin Dillon.
Oh, for sure. For sure. My back half driver, I just saw an interview with him today on NASCAR Race Up. And, his wife is freaking flames. You should look his wife up. Not saying that's why I'm picking him, but that is exactly why I'm picking him. So I'm going to go with Zane
Oh,
Smith. He's a, yeah, he's a Chevrolet. No, but he's been just a middle of the pack driver.
Zane
So
Smith
why not?
also has 2 DNFs this year, and I think he's going to continue to have some DNFs. But I don't necessarily think that's going to be here. So
He's at a 13th at the 500. He's had a 19th at Circuit of
it's
Americas,
not
which,
great.
I mean, whatever. And then 24th the last week at Dover. I mean, he's just a
I think
average guy,
very below
But
average. No, I mean
yeah, yeah,
he's
but
definitely
he's due.
below average.
That means
You can't
no,
argue
he's
that.
below average, but he's
He's
due.
not due. He's shown nothing
Just
to show that he's gonna be there.
okay. When he wins this week,
This
you'll be
year he
pissed. Just
has
saying.
0 top 5s, 0 top 10s, 1 top 15, and 2 top 20s. Out of 11 races, he's only been in the front half twice. I think that's a horrible pick. Average finish of 28th. I mean, yeah, okay. I wrote you down in pen, so you can't change it. I think I finally start making my way back into the standings this year in our shootout picks. But let's see where our random goes with this. You get the first random since we snake draft. And are you ready, Dick? Do you want to witness it or do you believe
Ready.
me? All right, so
I
here we
believe you.
go. Roll. Oh my gosh. Oh, I was like, you got to be kidding me. It was Tyler Reddick, but he was chosen, so you have to roll again. That would have
Bruh.
been
It's always a
It
dagger.
has. I
That's
don't
happened
think
to
it
me a
happened to
couple
me
times this
once.
year.
And when it has, it's always been a back half driver, and then I end up with a better driver anyway. So, uh, re-roll 11. That's a good one. You got Ross Chastain. I don't know if he's anything to
Okay.
write home about this week. Um, actually, I think we should write home about him this week.
Yeah, he's done nothing this year. I don't have much to say about him. He came in 12th last week at Dover. But I mean, he's still itching to, get back to where he was last year and previous years. He's had, what we got, the 4 top 10s this year. I mean, he's had some good average finishes. He's basically top 15 every week, exception of 2 races this year. So, I mean, he's just a solid racer. He's just waiting
Do
for
you
his time.
think it's his time, though? I don't think so.
I do
I don't
not
think so.
think it's this week.
Yeah, Rick
But who
Ross, you
knows?
got him. All right. Last pick of the day, row 13. That it would be Alex Bowman. That's never a bad pick to get a Hendrick driver as a random,
Oh,
even though I think that he
Hendrick.
is the
Yeah.
lowest chance of all the Hendrick drivers this week. Obviously, you got Larson sitting up, but I'm gonna guess he's gonna get the pole. Byron probably just behind him. Chase maybe rounding out the top 10, and then Bowman hopefully starts in the top 15. But anytime that you have those drivers all together in 15, you could see anything happen. So I think that Bowman could even get a stage win, but then kind of pull back at towards the end. Bowman was pissed at Kyle Larson this week, and you get a little bit of trouble in
Was
paradise with between teammates. So I don't know the details of that. I'm going to continue to follow up on that one, but
I think that team is just very competitive in general, and any one of them can win. So, like, when you don't get the win, it's definitely on you. And he's the only Hendrick really to not get a win this year yet. So, I mean, he's waiting. He's had 7 top 10s this year, only 5 that are not top 10s. And last 2 races, he went 5 at Talladega, 8 at Dover, and he could. I mean, he's one of those guys that could win any week too. He's just waiting.
well, got anything else, or I think we can close out the episode.
I'm
Call it
ready
a
to call
day,
this a
and
day.
I just want to go through a little bit of the scheduling here. So obviously, we've been talking about Kansas coming up here May 5th this weekend. We go to the throwback race in Darlington, which is going to be an awesome one down in South Carolina. Always an exciting race to see all the throwback paint schemes. They've already been kind of filtering and leaking out. They are awesome. Then we have a week off. We're going to do a special episode of Real Drunk Bastards. And during that week, we probably won't talk much NASCAR, if anything. It'll actually be a pretty good segment to The Real House Guys, which will be dropping this Wednesday. Come watch that. Then we're going to Charlotte. Charlotte is going to be the time to listen to this episode, or this podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to have a lot of live content. We're going to make a lot of content, lots of videos, lots of pictures, and just wouldn't be surprised if we have 4 or 5 podcasts that week. They're all going to be short. We're going to be drinking, and we're going to be drinking heavy, and we are ready to meet you guys. So if you guys want to come out, message us on one of those socials or reach us at thedrunkpod@gmail.com. And we are in for a spectacular May. So happy May, happy Kansas week, and we will see you right after the race for a epic breakdown. See you next week.